What's up, football fans? It's Epic here, and welcome to another one of our pre-draft videos. Today, I'm going to give you guys my top 10 fantasy QBs.
Don't forget about me, Big Blue here, ready to help with the brand new season premiere of our series.
Yes, sir. Big Blue will be helping us today with our top 10 fantasy QBs. Big Blue, any thoughts before we get going?
Anybody watches this video probably be really angry with my picks, just like everybody.
Same here, Big Blue. Well, let's piss some people off. My number 10 fantasy QB is Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. Kirk this year is going to be surrounded by a lot of great offensive talent. Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, and Kyle Rudolph round off a pretty good supporting cast. For fantasy, I think Cousins will throw for around 4,000 yards, maybe 25 touchdowns to be a top 10 fantasy QB.
All right, well, thank you for that, Epic. My top 10 pick is Matthew Stafford. I think the coaches have to see a lot in him. He's really gonna show out this year. We can't forget that he's on a huge contract, and he still has to show it.
Okay, my number 9 fantasy QB is Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's not forget that he was a top 5 fantasy QB until Ezekiel Elliott went down with a suspension. Dak doesn't have the weapons around him to make him a top 5 fantasy QB, but he should be consistent, put in about 15, 16 points a game if you need him to, and overall, he could vault into the top 5 if he really balls out. We'll see.
My number 9 is Kirk Cousins for the Vikings. Like Epic said, it seems almost impossible for someone like Kirk Cousins not to be able to thrive in that offense. We'll see a lot out of him this year.
Okay, my number 8 QB is Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. Matt Ryan's days of being a top 5 QB are probably over unless Kyle Shanahan goes back to Atlanta. But Matt Ryan still has Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, and now Calvin Ridley around him. It always gives him a high floor, and he should be able to put up a bunch of yards and score some points in fantasy.
My number 8 is Carson Wentz. Wait. I know you're freaking out because he's super low, but you can't forget that he suffered an ACL injury. Now, I'm not hating on Carson Wentz. I think he's an incredible player, but for a first-time ACL injury, either players come back to their normal selves or they'll never be the same. We'll just have to wait and see. Either way, seems like a safe bet.
My number 7 QB is Andrew Luck of the Indianapolis Colts. He would be higher, but I worry about his shoulder, I worry about the talent around him, and we haven't seen him play in over a year. So Andrew Luck obviously is a top 5 quarterback talent, and he could be top 5 this time next year, but there's a lot of risk involved in Andrew Luck. You could take him and get a huge steal, but right now he's number 7.
Well, my number 7 is Andrew Luck also. I completely agree with everything you've said. I mean, we'll just have to see how he plays. Obviously, he's been great in the past, but can he maintain that after not playing for over a year? He has great chemistry with T.Y. Hilton, and we'll just have to hope that him and T.Y.'s chemistry will come back, and T.Y.'s year last year was just a fluke.
Okay, my number 6 quarterback is hot take incoming, Tom Brady. How can you say that, Epic Robo Dude? Tom Brady's always a top 3 fantasy QB. I say this year, he takes a little bit of a dip. Tom Brady has a history of declining in regular season play. In weeks 13 through 16, every year, each of the last 3 years, he's always finished as below a QB 10. In each of the last 2015, 2016, 2017. And last year, he was the 20th ranked quarterback in fantasy. I play for Super Bowls, and if you get Tom Brady in your draft, you're probably going to have him for your Super Bowl. So I think you're going to get Tom. He's probably going to be a top 5 fantasy QB overall. But if I'm getting a bad quarterback weeks 13 through 16, I don't know if I want to take him in the top 5.
My number 6 QB is Alex Smith. I think he will do absolutely incredible in Washington. He has versatility all over him. He's got some decent receivers around him, but he has legs, he has a great arm, and we can't forget last year, he finished pretty high up there.
Okay, my number 5 fantasy quarterback is Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers. As Big Blue will tell you, Norv Turner has made it his mission to get Cam back into being Cam. Cam's always going to give you a ton with his legs and his arm. He had some shoulder issues last year with his rotator cuff. Those seem to be behind him. I think you'll see Cam Newton throw for a lot of yards. Maybe not pass for 30 touchdowns, but he's going to give you a lot on the ground. And if he can get it right through the air, he definitely could make top 3 on this list. But right now, he's number 5, and I feel comfortable saying that.
My number 5 is Tom Brady. Like Epic said, he's not that good late in the season, and that's Super Bowl season for fantasy players. Don't take that risk. He'll be great during the regular season, early on, but he always falls off.
Okay, my number 4 fantasy QB is Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson posted a great season last year, finishing the number 1 fantasy quarterback. I don't think he's going to do that again. I think that last year was kind of a fluke. He accounted for like 83% of their offensive touchdowns. That's unsustainable. They got a new backfield with Rashad Penny and Chris Carson coming back. I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more, and Russell Wilson's touchdowns are going to go down a little bit. He's going to give you a lot on the ground, but his offensive line's a concern. No Jimmy Graham. I mean, it's hard to put him as a top 2 fantasy QB, but number 4 sounds about right for me.
My number 4 is Deshaun Watson. Wait. I know you heard what I said about Carson Wentz, but you got to think about it. Deshaun Watson had way more time to recover, so I think he'll come back his regular self. I mean, he has great legs, he has a great arm, and he's got a great defense to back him up this year.
My number 3 fantasy QB is not also Deshaun Watson, because you had a number 4, but my number 3 QB is Deshaun Watson. When he was playing last year, he was the number 1 fantasy quarterback. He was posting ridiculous numbers, throwing like 5 touchdowns in 3 games of that stretch that he was playing. Absolutely sensational. He's got so much talent around him offensively. Fuller, Hopkins, decent running game. Head coach that believes in him, obviously playing him in that first week of the season. Watson has so much upside because he can do it on the ground, and he throws for so many yards, and he's going to throw for so many touchdowns this year if he plays. His upside is the number 1 fantasy quarterback. Maybe not this year, but I mean, Deshaun Watson, you cannot go wrong with him. I'm not concerned about his knee. He's worked so hard to recover from it. I really like Watson this year in fantasy. I would take him number 3.
My number 3 is Russell Wilson. Now, me and Epic's opinions on him might differ a little bit, but we both agree that he's not going to repeat his number 1 year. I think due to his improved backfield, they'll be able to do more on play action, relieving Russell Wilson of a little bit of stress. And the thing is, Russell Wilson strives under stress. I feel like that's where a lot of his fantasy points come from. So with that backfield, I think he'll still do great with play action passes, deep throws, but that will take off some of the pressure of him having to run, having to do these crazy, long, deep throws.
My number 2 QB is Carson Wentz, the Philadelphia Eagles. I know Big Blue is a little bit doubtful of Carson Wentz, but he has Doug Peterson, a great offensive line, versatile running backs, a great group of receivers, even with Alshon Jeffrey out for a little bit. If you have to miss week 1 of Carson Wentz, I still take him. He was amazing last year. He still finished as the number 3 overall quarterback, even though he missed the last few games of the season. Wentz is an absolute all-time talent, and this year, if he plays 15 or 16 games, he's going to be the number 2 fantasy quarterback.
All right. Well, my number 2 quarterback is Cam Newton. Now, I know what you're going to say. They've had a lot of falls on the offensive line, but Cam Newton seems to thrive under that. When the pocket is collapsing, that's more yards on the ground for him. He does great work with his legs. I feel like we'll see a lot of deep passing because I feel like this is Devin Funch's breakout year, and of course the addition of DJ Moore. Plus we got Greg Olsen back. I think Cam Newton is a solid number 2.
And my number 1 fantasy quarterback is Deshaun Kaiser. Nope, sorry. Dang it. Oh yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers. I apologize. Aaron Rodgers is going to win the MVP this year. Put that in the books. He's going to win the MVP. Aaron Rodgers is sensational. He's going to come back this year from his broken collarbone with a vengeance. He looks as focused and as driven as I've ever seen him. I think he throws for 45 touchdown passes this year. That's your QB1 right there, Aaron Rodgers. Take him as early as the 2nd or 3rd round.
Well, what Epic said. No, I'm just kidding. My number 1 is Aaron Rodgers, though. He's going to be incredible. He's going to come back. He's going to do what Aaron Rodgers does. It's simple as that. With the addition of Jimmy Graham, I think it's going to be one of the the biggest threats in the NFL. I mean, that's all I really got to say other than Aaron Rodgers number 1.
All right, that concludes our top 10 fantasy QB list. Big Blue, any thoughts?
I would like to dive a little deeper on why you have Cam Newton so low.
Well, Big Blue, the reason I have Cam Newton so low, well, as low as 5, of course, which is relatively fair, I think, for Cam, is that he's not as good of a passer as any of the guys that have ranked above him. He's not a better passer than Rodgers, Wentz, Watson, or Russell Wilson. I have Cam as high as I do because of his legs. And the fact of the matter is, if you can get 90 yards on the legs, with your legs, it's 9 fantasy points right there. And he's going to vulture rushing touchdowns from Jonathan Duff and Stewart, Christian McCaffrey, and whoever else is in that backfield. C.J. Anderson, I think. So,
Yes.
I mean, I think Cam could very well break through the number 5 spot that I gave him. But the fact of the matter is that I'm concerned that he is not going to produce high yardage volume yardage through the air. So that's why I have Cam as low as I do.
Okay. I got a lot more to say, but I'll end it right there. Good take. I appreciate it and respect it. You got any thoughts on mine?
Well, my thoughts on yours is that you have Carson Wentz ranked number 8, and for a guy that still finished number 3 on the fantasy QB list last year, and while missing time, I mean, that's just so low for a guy like him, and he has such a great support system around him. I have a hard time drafting him that low. What do you think?
The main reason, other than the injury that Carson Wentz dealt with, is he's not starting the first couple of games this season. They were going to have Nick Foles there, but unfortunately, he got injured too. Those first couple of games, that's going to mean a lot, so I wouldn't take him as your priority quarterback. It's just, I mean, if you look at it statistically, QBs who have finished in the top or went to the Super Bowl have fallen the previous year. Along with that, and how he's not going to be starting the first couple of games through injury, I don't know. It just seems a little iffy. But of course, he has a extremely high season, and he has an extremely high ceiling. And let's face it, you're not gonna lose if you draft Carson Wentz.
Blue, and that concludes our video, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoyed. Absolutely. I look forward to making another video with Big Blue soon. He'll come on for a couple 5+5 episodes if he so chooses to. Whoa. Do not go anywhere yet. You know what time it is. It is time for our end of the video question. Big Blue.
Yes.
Who set the all-time record for passer rating in a season? Was it Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, Tom Brady, or Tony Romo?
I mean, come on now. It could only be the greatest of all time, wears number 1 on his back, Cam Newton. I'm just kidding. We all know it's Aaron Rodgers.
Correct. Aaron Rodgers with a 122.5 passer rating in the 2011 season. Packers went 15-1, and Aaron Rodgers posted a passer rating of 122.5. And that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye now.